is the Three Bears. Once upon a time, there were three bears who lived together in a house of their own in a wood. One of them was little, small, just a wee bear. One was a middle-sized bear, and the other was a great, huge bear. They had each a pot for their porridge, a little one for the small, wee bear, a middle-sized one for the middle bear, and a great pot for the great, huge bear. And they each had a chair to sit in, a little chair for the little, small, wee bear, a middle-sized chair for the middle bear, and a great chair for the great, huge bear. And they each had a bed to sleep in, a little bed for the little, small, wee bear, a middle-sized bed for the middle bear, and a great bed for the great, huge bear. One day, after they had made the porridge for their breakfast and poured it into their porridge pots, they walked out into the wood while the porridge was cooling, that they might not burn their mouths by beginning to eat it so soon. While they were walking, a little old woman came to the house. She could not have been a good, honest old woman, for first, she looked in at the window, and then she peeped in at the keyhole, and, seeing nobody in the house, she lifted the latch. The door was not fastened, because the bears were good bears, who did nobody any harm, and never suspected that anyone would do them harm. So the little old woman opened the door and went in, and well pleased she was when she saw the porridge on the table. If she had been a good little old woman, she would have waited till the bears came home, and then, perhaps, should have asked for her breakfast. For they were good bears. A little rough, but the manners of bears is. But for all, the very good-natured and hospitable. But she was an impudent, bad old woman, and set about helping herself. So she tasted the first porridge of the great huge bear, and that was still too hot for her, and she said a bad word about that. And then she tasted the porridge of the middle bear, and that was too cold for her, and she said a bad word about that too. Then she went to the porridge of the little, small, wee bear and tasted that, and that was neither too hot nor too cold, but just right, and she liked it so well that she ate it all up. But the naughty old woman said a bad word about the little porridge pot because it did not hold enough for her. Then the little old woman sat down in the chair of the great huge bear, and that was too hard for her. And then she sat down in the chair of the middle bear, and that was too soft for her. And then she sat down in the chair of the little small wee bear, and that was neither too hard nor too soft, but just right. So she seated herself in it, and there she sat until her bottom of the chair came out. And down came she, plump upon the ground. That naughty old woman said a wicked word about that too. Then the little old woman went upstairs to the bedchamber in which the three bears slept. At first she lay down in the bed of the great huge bear, but that was too high at the head for her. And then she lay down upon the bed of the middle bear, and that was too high at the foot for her. And then she lay down in the bed of the little small wee bear, and that was neither too high at the head nor too high at the foot, but just right. So she covered herself up comfortably and lay there till she fell fast asleep. By this time the three bears thought their porridge would be cool enough, and so they came home for breakfast. Now the little old woman had left a spoon in the great huge bear standing in his porridge. "Someone has been eating my porridge," said the great huge bear in his great gruff voice. And when the middle bear looked at his porridge, he saw that the spoon was standing in it too. Then the wooden spoons, if they had been silver ones, the naughty old woman would have put them in her pocket. "Someone has been at my porridge," said the middle bear in his middle voice. And then the little small wee bear looked at his, and there was a spoon in his porridge pot, but the porridge was all gone. "Someone has been in my porridge and has eaten it all up," said the small little wee bear with his little small wee voice. Upon this, the three bears, seeing that someone had entered their house and had eaten up the little small wee bear's breakfast, began to look about them. Now the old woman had not been put on the hard cushion straight when she rose from the great bear's chair. "Someone has been sitting in my chair," said the great huge bear in his great rough, gruff voice. And the little old woman had squatted down in the soft cushion of the middle bear. "Someone has been sitting in my chair," said the middle bear in his middle voice. And you know what the little old woman had done to the third chair. "Someone's been sitting in my chair and has sat the bottom of it out," said the little small wee bear in his little small wee voice. Then the three bears thought it necessary that they should make farther their search, so they went up to their bedchamber. Now the little old woman had pulled the pillow of the great huge bear out of its place. "Someone has been lying in my bed," said the great huge bear in his great rough, gruff voice. And the little old woman had pulled the bolster of the middle bear's bed out of place. "Someone has been sitting in my bed," said the middle bear in his middle voice. And when the small little wee bear came to look at his bed, there was a bolster in its place, and the pillow in its place upon the bolster, and upon the pillow was the little old woman's ugly, dirty head, which was not in its place, for she had no business to be there. "Someone has been lying in my bed, and here she is," said the little small wee bear in his little small wee voice. The little old woman heard in her sleep the great gruff, rough voice of the great huge bear, but she was so fast asleep that it made no more to her than the roaring of wind or the rumble of thunder. When she had heard the middle voice of the middle bear, it was only as if she had heard someone speaking in a dream. But when she heard the little small wee voice of the little small wee bear, it was so sharp and so shrill that it had wakened her at once. Up she started. When she saw the three bears on one side of the bed, she tumbled herself out of the other and ran to the window. Now the window was open, because the bears, like good, tidy bears as they were, always opened their bedchamber window when they got up in the morning. Out the little old woman jumped, and whether she broke her neck in the fall or ran in the woods, was lost there, or found her way out of the wood and was taken for a constable to the house of correction for the vagrant that she was, I cannot tell. But the three bears never saw anything more of her.